Hey there, everybody. Hey there. So this is another edition of Positive Tea with Fee. And I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in this evening. Um, we've had some interesting weather. We've had a good week so far, and starting things out on a good and positive note is always a very good thing. As you know, I am Evangelist Felicia Brogy, your host, and I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in with us again. It's wonderful to be here. So let's get right into it. Um, Tonight we're going to talk about realistic positivity. And this was something that actually one of the listeners had expounded upon, and we talked about via Messenger. It was closer to the beginning of the show, and it was just someone who felt like I should really expound upon the positivity because of things that we have that go on in life that are not so positive. So, with that being said, we were able to really kind of dive in, and she was able to give me some of her perspective, and I was able to share some of mine. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is hurts. Okay, when we talk about positivity, we talk about looking at life on a spectrum of things that are good and things that are optimistic. But one of the things that we leave out sometimes is hurt. We've talked about hurt on the show before. Hurt is a part of life, it is a real part of life. And this is physical hurt, emotional hurt, financial hurt, mental hurt. You know, it's just something that's there. We can't avoid it. We can't. Hurt is one of those things that's going to exist. If you're alive, at some point you've been hurt or you're going to be hurt. And if you haven't been, you are very blessed, but keep living, because hurt is just one of those things that's part of it. And so with that being said, hurt hurts. And so, one thing about life and the perspective of positivity, the perspective of looking at things on the bright side, is not forgetting that hurt is going to hurt no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, no matter how old you are, what your background is, your education, your religious perspective, if you have one. Hurt hurts. We are human, and no matter where you are in this world or what level you're on in your life, is something that's unavoidable, and it's something that's going to sting. And so, when it comes to being positive and having an outlook on life and an outlook on things, hurt is going to hurt. And that's something that we can't get rid of. And so, having toxic positivity when you're hurt is going to tell you in your mind you just have to be positive. But that's not realistic, is it? And the reason it's not realistic is because when my mom's health started going down years ago, it hurts. When my dad was in his car accident that turned everyone's life in my inner circle upside down in 2020, it hurts. When I had to make adjustments in my approach to how I was going to educate my son, it hurts. When I failed at expectations that I made for myself as a recovering people pleaser, it hurts. Hurt hurts. There's no other way to look at that. And so a positive perspective does not mean that you're going to look at things as if they don't exist. Okay. The toxic positivity within hurt tells you to tell your subconscious, stop being negative. It tells you to tell yourself, never give up. But the validation of hope, true, positive, realistic positivity is going to say, It hurts. It's a situation that's negative, but it's hard to be in this situation and still be positive. That's what realistic hurt is. That's what realistic knowing what you're dealing with, feeling what you're dealing with, that is realistic positivity. Because you know what? It's normal to feel negative in a situation that hurts. It's normal. And it's okay to give up temporarily, but not completely. So it's okay to be in a situation to have to catch your breath. You know, when you're dealing with something that is taking you there, even before you hit rock bottom, it's going to try to knock you down. We've all been there. And so hurt hurts. No matter how strong you are, no matter what you know to say to yourself, the hurt is still what? The hurt. And the hurt hurts. The thing to remember about hurt, understanding that you are human. It doesn't make you a negative person. It doesn't make you a pessimistic individual. It doesn't even mean that you're giving up completely. You just might need to catch your breath. And another thing to remember about her in being positive, and I've had to tell myself this many, many times throughout my life, you can't avoid it. You can't go over it. You can't go around it. You can just go through it. And God gave it to you because He's going to give you the strength to go through it. That doesn't mean He's going to take it away. But being positive means that you know that although it's a negative situation, the outcome can still be worth it. And even if there's no way to look at that at all, catching the silver lining of coming out on the other side as a stronger person. Because as cliche as it may seem, what doesn't kill you does make you stronger. The next thing that we're going to talk about is heals. Okay. When you're in a situation where you're around people who've dealt with hurt, dealt with negativity, been at rock bottom, okay, and they are individuals who they have no idea what perspective to look at. They have no direction. They don't know how to look at the silver lining. When you're around those people, what we say in the South, bless their hearts, they cannot encourage you to be positive because they are damaged and they have not been healed. So when you've been hurt, when you've been in a situation that is so devastating that you simply do not know where to turn, it's going to have an effect on you. And those effects can get in your spirit. It can get in your personality. It can get in your disposition, your entire outlook on everything because you are not healed. But the other part is when you are around people, and of course there's always exceptions to the rule, okay? There's always exceptions to the rule. But in a typical circumstance, when you are around people who want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem, even though you're in the midst of devastation, negativity, uh, hurt, bad situation after bad situation, you're going to be able to be healed because healed heals. Okay. When you are around people who are trying to find ways to better themselves. When I was in a situation where I was around people who were feeding me negativity. They didn't have anything positive to say. Everything was a on the downhill slope. Okay. When I was in situations like that, when I surrounded myself with individuals who didn't see a way out, and it's not always their faults. That's another thing that we have to remember. It's not always their faults. Okay, sometimes you get in situations, you ever heard of a situation where it's either fight or flight, okay, and I was raised around some people who they they didn't have the background or the foundation to do anything but survive. So some of those people were healed because they happened to be at the right place at the right time. Okay. Just like the individuals who are damaged, they unfortunately were sometimes at the wrong place at the wrong time. But when you surround yourself with either or, it's going to affect you. So, being around people who are healed, being around people who try to manifest day to day goals or even long term goals that they are reaching, it's going to make the biggest difference in you because one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. A lot of good apples, even if you're in there and you're rough around the edges and you don't really know where you're going, you don't know what to think, because you're around people who are healed and people who know how to bounce back and people who know how to look for the silver lining and people who know how to see a little bit of sugar and sprinkle it in a situation where all that's lemon juice and lemonade, and make good out of a bad situation and keep going. You know, the little engine that could, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. You are going to start the healing process of yours. Even though you may be damaged, being around people who want to pour into you is going to automatically take you to the next level. When I stopped being around people that were speaking death into me, you're never going to do that. You're from Brinkley. You're never going to do that. You weren't popular. You're never going to do that. Remember, you made that mistake and that mistake and that mistake and that mistake. You're never going to do that. I started to believe that I was damaged goods to remain damaged. But when I started to be around people who were like, oh, yeah, you're kind of loud, but we like to hear what you have to say. Get a little louder. And when I started to be around people that were like, yeah, I understand, you're a little dramatic and you assume things, but you're working on that. I started to see things differently. They shared their experiences of things that they'd overcome. They were able to learn and to teach simply by being healed. We all have a story. All of us, we have a story. We have a background. All of us have somewhere that we're coming from. Okay. And so when you're around people who are healed, you become healed because healed heals. And you have to remember that just like hurt hurts and hurt people, healed people heal people. Just like damaged people can damage people, healed people heal people. It's just kind of how it works. And so, your circle of influence, those individuals who you are around on a regular basis, they're going to have an effect on you. So, you got to change the way you look at the perspective of the individuals around you. And we're not playing the blame game. We're not playing the blame game. You know, I had to come from somewhere, I had to learn. Some of them don't know any better. Like we just said, they are simply products of their environment. It's a natural thing, folks. That's just the way it is. But you have to get in a situation for yourself, with yourself, sometimes by yourself, about yourself, you and the Lord, and understand these people are not for me. This is not where I need to be. Now, when you're at a stage in your life where you can center yourself and understand, hey, I was damaged. I'm still working with this. I'm still working with that. But I'm on a level now where I can go back and I can start helping some of those people. That's different. But in a typical situation, coming from where I was coming from, with all of that hard adolescent residue on me, the emotional torment, the spiritual torment, the psychological torment, it was all so overwhelming. And I brought it into my 20s. It was my late 20s when I decided to make commitments to start making tiny steps to be different. But I didn't actually start doing the work, the serious work, until my early 30s. So, I wouldn't change it for anything because I wouldn't be who I am if I hadn't have been the damaged around the damaged. Okay. But because you have to get to that place, be self protective. Stay around the healed people. Stay around people who understand that realistic positivity after the hurt hurts, the healed heals. The next thing we're going to talk about is me in a battle of reality. You know what? Last year, I did so much. Oh, 2021 was so much self development for Felicia. Okay. It was so much self development that I got to the point where I was kind of on cloud nine, and then I had to come back down a little bit. And then I went up and then I went down, up, down, up, down. And I was having a conversation with myself, like I've talked about on the show before. I had to tell Felicia, again, you are so positive. But guess what? The higher you go up in that toxic, unrealistic positivity, okay, the harder it is when you fall back down to reality. So I teeter tottered around the middle as much as I could, but it was a battle for me because I am such a positive person. But you know what? Just like I told you guys before, you have to eat the meat and spit out the bones for every situation. And the good thing about my friend, bringing these things to my attention is it gives you a look in the mirror. The reality of the situation is negativity causes you to revisit those areas of yourself that may not be completely where you need them to be. And so I was in a battle with myself, not that I was doing anything wrong necessarily, but it's a perspective. Positivity is a perspective, it's a mindset of a lot of things that we battle. That's me, that's you, that's anybody. And so I had to get to a point where I had to do another checkup from the neck up and become vulnerable again. And it was okay for me to become vulnerable because you know what, within those battles that I had within myself that started to rear their ugly heads, I was able to look at it with a different mindset than I did before. And that battle within myself, although I still dealt with it, and although I still have to go back there from time to time, like the Michael Jackson song, look, at the man in the mirror. I had to look at myself in the mirror. I was able to do it with different eyes. And since I was able to do it with different eyes, every single thing that the devil tried to throw at me last year to get me off of my game, and to try to tell me that I wasn't good enough, try to tell me, "Oh, you're not healed from this," or try to tell me that I wasn't on the right path, or try to tell me that I wasn't going to succeed in one area or not, or try to tell me that I was doing too much, stay in your lane. Guess what? I am in my lane. And that lane is a is the reality of everything is not positive. Everything is not positive. But you know what? The mindset that I developed of positivity, it carried me through. So every single thing that I was faced with last year, I was able to overcome it because of my mindset. It was because of my mindset. When I was hurt or when I had to watch someone hurt and hurt was present, it still hurt. Okay? When I was around people who were detrimental to self-development, guess what? I became a little detrimental to self-development myself. So when I got back around people who were healed, the healing started in those little areas again. Okay? And the reality of the situation is you're going to keep getting those things to rear their ugly heads. They're not going to go anywhere. Okay? They're not going to go anywhere. They're going to continue to pop up. Okay? They're going to continue to pop up. The battles that I had within myself, they didn't go anywhere. They kept looking at me, but I had a positive outlook on them. Okay? And so instead of screaming, cussing, or trying to get revenge or rolling my eyes, I didn't look at it that way. I was able to look at it as, Felicia, you need to take a step back. Felicia, is it you or is it the situation? Felicia, what did you do in this situation? Did you do this? Did you do that? Guess what? I was able to find in those situations that no matter what the answer was, a positive mindset and looking in the right direction and understanding where I needed to go and where I was coming from with each individual situation allowed me to keep my power. So I walked away proud of me because I knew that the victory was not in the fact that the issues did not exist. My struggles did exist, but I looked at them differently. And there are some struggles that you're always going to have. But you know what? When you have a positive mindset, it's going to make the outcome different every time. I promise you. I promise you. You're going to change a little bit and then you're going to stay the same. You're going to still be you, but you're going to have a different perspective. You're going to know your purpose and you're going to walk in it and you're going to keep your head up. And so the battle with myself and the battle with reality is I still have a positive mindset no matter what. So I'm just so glad and so blessed and so appreciative to be able to have this platform, to be able to share myself with you. And again, anybody who has any questions about anything or any topics that you want me to delve into on this show, this platform is not just for me, it's for us. I love being able to be transparent because there was a time where I couldn't be. I wouldn't be. And I thought I shouldn't be. So this show has allowed me to be just that, positive. But there is a realistic positivity versus a toxic, unrealistic positivity. And I felt like it was time, since we're still in joyous January, to be able to break it down in a way that only Positive Fee can bring it. So thanks for allowing me to share this positive tea, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.